This is from Robert Smith in Nottingham. How will you ensure that Labour reconnects with voters who were lost as a result of the decision to go to war in Iraq? And there were many on that theme. Another one from the website, Chris Allen from Leicester. Do you think council tax is an equitable tax? And a question that was texted in, no name, what is Labour doing for people to help get them onto the housing market?
Right. Housing market, first of all. Affordable housing is a huge issue now. Let's be honest about it. There are people in their 20s and 30s who want to buy their first home who can't. There are people now on our council waiting lists looking for social housing who can't get it. And when we came into government, there were 4 million children living in overcrowded or substandard accommodation. And although we've succeeded in reducing that figure to 2 million, that is 2 million children who are now being protected against bad accommodation, we've still got more to do. So, first of all, we will have more investment, not less, in social housing over the next period of time. And I want to say to councillors who are here, we appreciate the difficulties that you have in the requests for housing and the applications for housing, and we want to be able to do more to help you meet these demands in your own area. So we've increased by 50% the amount of social house building. We will have to do more in the next few years, and I would like to see some facility whereby local authorities themselves are able to do building in future. I think as far as young people buying their own homes, we need to do more about shared equity. So if you can't afford to buy 100% of your home in the first instance, what shared equity does is share the responsibility with the builder or the building society and yourself, and sometimes a share taken by your local or national government authority. And if we could therefore make it possible for people to get that first rung on the housing ladder, that is going to be very important, and I take that very seriously. But while interest rates have been generally half what they were under the Conservatives, and we will never forget that our economic record is to half inflation and half interest rates and prevent the recessions that did so much damage in negative equity and repossessions, and we're not going to go back ever to these years again, and that's why a Conservative should be avoiding. We really, as you know, have to build more houses. You know, I've always thought that when you look at the figures for house building, and I think it was about 130,000 a few years ago, it's 160,000 now, the number of households that are being formed as a result of single persons forming households, for example, is about 230,000 a year. So you've got to be able to build more houses, and that's why I was putting forward imaginative proposals like eco-towns, so that we could build in a new way, in an environmentally friendly way that would satisfy public opinion. But at the same time, there is no doubt that we will have to build more houses in future years. We'll have to get the building. We've got an inquiry into the building industry at the moment because we feel the building industry could do far more to build more houses. And of course, we want the building industry to build the houses that people want at prices that they can afford. So combined with keeping interest rates low, we don't want to see the price of new houses rise dramatically either. So we need all these measures so that we meet what I think is one of the fundamental objectives of people who are young couples, but also people at all ages, that they have decent, affordable housing, the housing that they want. And combined with educational opportunity, it's very important that we show people that we can help them meet their aspirations, and that includes not just education, but helping people buy or rent the house that they want for the future. The second question was on Iraq. And Iraq has been, as everybody here knows, a very divisive issue in this country. I don't think we should deny the fact it has been a very difficult issue, and it's also been one where public opinion has effectively been divided. I take my responsibility as a member of the Cabinet for the collective decisions that we made, and I believe that they were the right decisions. But we're at a new stage now, and let me tell you what I think is happening. First of all, in Iraq itself, we are in 4 provinces in Iraq, and we're handing over the control of 3 of these provinces to the Iraqi people themselves. And so we are only in an overwatch position in 3 and only in control of 1. And in the next period of time, Basra, the final province, will be handed back to the Iraqi people. And gradually the Iraqi people will run their own security. They've got 500,000 people that have been trained as police or security. And I believe that what we need to do is to combine, because we have responsibilities to the people of Iraq and to an elected government in Iraq and to the United Nations resolutions that require us and other countries to support the people of Iraq at this stage. We want to combine what we're doing at a security level with help with political reconciliation, but also, I believe, help with the economic development of the area, because people must have a stake in the future of their country. And we probably have to do a lot more to make sure that people can feel there are jobs, there are the chances of people having prosperity, that we're building the hospitals and the schools and making sure that people have decent public services as well. But there are two other issues here as well that we've got to deal with. One is we have got to show right across the whole area of the Middle East and the Arab states that we are committed to work with the people there. And that's why a settlement of the Middle East problems in Palestine and Israel is going to be very important for the future. And that's why I've tried to work with other people to bring about an economic peace plan that would help the Palestinians and make them feel that Palestine and Israel can work together in the future. And I believe that in the next period of time, one of the great achievements could be that we have a Palestinian state side by side with an Israel that is secure within its borders, and the Palestine people finally see that prosperity for them is possible in new secure arrangements where they accept the reality of Israel's existence and work with it, but they see through industrial parks, infrastructure, big investment that we can help make that there is a chance that the 50% unemployment and the greater level of poverty in that area can be reduced. The final thing I just say very briefly is Al-Qaeda. Let us be in no doubt. Let us be in no doubt that there's probably 60 or so different groups around the world practicing terrorist violence who are linked in some way to Al-Qaeda. And let us not ignore the fact that this extreme form of violence has got to be taken on not just militarily and not just by security and intelligence, but we've got to take it on and win the battle of hearts and minds. And this is not a battle between religions. This is a battle within ideologies where an extremist ideology telling people that there should be a caliphate, telling people that there should be the end of Israel, telling people that the end of the West, practicing violence. We have got to win that battle of hearts and minds both here and right around the world over the next few years. And we've got to win it by argument, by power of argument. And we've got to persuade people that extreme solutions are the wrong ones and people should support moderate solutions. And we've got to support the moderate clerics, we've got to support the moderate voices, we've got to support those who will take on all forms of extremist violence, because there is no safety in a world where you have thousands of people who are prepared to be suicide bombers for an extreme cause that is effectively to assassinate or to eliminate large groups of people in the rest of the world. And I think that possibly we're opening a new front here, and the new front is essentially this, that we've now got to go out by power of argument, by power of debate, by what we say we can do to integrate people into our society and other societies, win the battle of hearts and minds for the future. And I think that's a challenge for all of us. And I think all of us are up for that challenge, because we know that you've got to defeat those forces of violence, and you've got to expose extremism when it threatens people's lives and runs the risk of disrupting the whole of our civilization. So that battle of hearts and minds, I think, is something that we've got to win in future years. The final question was...
Before you go on, because somebody else, actually it was Carol Dean, was going to ask an almost identical question, and you've preempted her on the Middle East.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to add, to what extent do you think there's a danger that we have forfeited credibility to act as a serious peacemaker in that region, particularly perhaps after our support for the bombing of Lebanon, but also the invasion of Iraq? Are we really the best people to be able to play a useful role?
Well, I've met the head of the Palestinians, Abu Mazen. I've met obviously the finance minister, Mr. Fayed. I've met a lot of members of the new government there that they're trying to form the unity administration. And I do believe they think Britain has a role to play. And I've also met Israeli businessmen and women in London and in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem who want to finance the industrial parks and the small business schemes and the infrastructure development that could make Gaza and the West Bank prosperous. You see, if you cross, as I did, from Israel into Gaza or the West Bank, you're crossing from a country that has, $18,000 per head income in Israel to one that is only $800 a year per head in Gaza or the West Bank. You're crossing from one of the richest countries in the world to one of the poorest countries in the world. And we have got to say to people in Palestine that we can do something to help them, because they're an inventive and entrepreneurial people, to develop their prosperity for the future. And I believe that one of the great unsolved problems of the last 50 years is this one, but I believe there is a will to do it. What was the third question?
Council tax. Is it equitable?
Council tax. Just say on council tax, we've published the Lyons review on council tax. He makes a number of proposals to make council tax fairer. It is now out for discussion for views to be expressed on this, and no doubt many councillors here, and I do appreciate the difficult job that you do as councillors, will want to make your views known on this, and let us have that consultation on the Lyons report.
But they're asking if council tax is equitable.
Well, that's what Lyons is looking at, and Lyons is making proposals to make it fairer in his view, but the proposals have got to be looked at as individual proposals about bans, individual proposals about different exemptions, and individual proposals about rebates. And I think people have got to look at these individual proposals and then say whether these proposals add up to making council tax fair or not. I mean, all governments right around the world have some form of property tax, like council tax. The question is, do you think it can be the fairest possible? And that's what the Lyons report is about. And I would urge people to have a look at the recommendations and then see what they think.